and welcome to the Home Front. My name is Michelle Posey. I'll be your host today. Guys, we've got a lively crew here, and you noticed we have one person who's severely outnumbered, but I think he'll be able to hold his own. We'd like to welcome Alfie Oakes to the set today. Hi, Alfie. Thank you for joining us.
How are you doing? Thank
good.
you for having me. What a beautiful morning, and so happy to be here.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Alfie, we start off with an icebreaker question here at the Home Front.
Love the icebreakers.
This one came to us, though, from one of our friends that's a part of our Homefront Defenders group on Facebook. So you'll see a QR code down below. If you scan that, it'll send you to an invite. You send the invite to join the Homefront Defenders on Facebook. You can be a part of the discussion. So I want to thank Matt Youngblood. He sent this. And Matt, we're in Florida, so I think I know how this conversation's going to go. But he said if you could move to any state in the union for any reason, which state would it be and why? And I always like to put Allie on the hook first. So we'll start down there, Allie.
Okay, so I might shock everybody.
Okay.
Oh. I'm going to say California.
What?
I say California with Florida politics.
Oh. You want their climate.
Not the Florida politics, but you understand what I'm saying.
Cheers. I hear that.
The liberties. So, the liberties, right. The protections that we currently have, especially when it comes to our constitutionally protected rights. But I say California because you can go through, there's desert, there's beach, there's mountains, and then there's snow. It's like everything. I think California is just so beautiful.
There is one place in California that's kind of like that. Yeah. They're like in their warped bubble. And it's Redding.
It's beautiful.
Redding,
like
California.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's like its own little place. And that's where my sister lives.
I hadn't been to California. I've been to some of the areas outside of some growers that I've seen since COVID, but I just went there to Orange County, right outside of LA. We had some. I was going actually for this thing. Maybe we'll talk about it. It's called Stratosphere. It's really amazing. It's instead of hyperbaric chamber, it's a hypobaric chamber. Yeah. But I went out to meet this gentleman, Bobby Williams, and I spent several days in Orange County, and I was really blown away at. I didn't see any woke garbage around the whole county. It was really clean. I felt completely safe anywhere that I walked in. I really didn't see any riffraff, but Orange County is like this special little bubble, like you say, that's right, not that far from LA. And you really have it's a really conservative area, but really amazing. So
well, what's interesting
didn't
about
we used to live out there? Yeah, that's where we stayed when we stayed with family.
What's interesting about California is it has more Republican voters registered than it does Democrat voters. So it's actually a red state. But getting people activated and involved in their local party in order for them to move the needle so that they can get rid of all the riffraff
they have free and fair elections?
Right, has been a very difficult task. Yeah. So California is definitely in need of some assistance.
We always wonder about what the real corruption is and how many Democrats there are, because I think I think they've been working the system in California a lot longer than they have anywhere else.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi has been in office for
that's why
ages.
They need an Allie, in my opinion. Go get them, Allie.
Send me.
I wore a Trump shirt all through LA and all while I was there, and I really got many more people that were thumbs up, and that's in supposedly one of the most liberal meccas, right? So,
right.
Yeah, it's not what they say it is, like most things.
Yeah, there's a lot of conservatives or Republicans. They're just quiet about it because they feel like the
over
majority
there they
is
feel
not.
like they have to be, right?
Yeah.
They kind of keep their head down. The
Actually,
they don't know that they're majority.
I traveled recently and I had sat between two brothers that were coming to Tampa from California to visit family, and they have like their own little conservative men's group. Oh. And I was like, what? Tell me more. It was great. The dating pool sucks, but they're like, we need more conservative women. But they're trying to move things out there. So that's why I chose California.
That's a great choice. That's a great choice. Well, I'm Demi. I'm kind of jealous. That's a really good choice. I'm an outdoorsy person. That's why I'm like, wow, I didn't think of that. Well, I'm Demi. Thank you for being with us today. I would say I love the beach, so I would have to stay in Florida. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I lived like one street away from a whole community called Seagate. And Seagate is where all the Judaism, all the Jews would live in their own community, and they had like the best parts of the beach. So I would walk across and around the fence. And I would go there. And I remember as a little girl, I don't know, I was maybe 10, between 10 and 14. And I would go to the beach every single day. And I would walk my dog. I had a Doberman Pinscher.
Oh.
So I'm like this little petite person with this
big, giant, scary-looking dog.
Yes.
I love Dobermans.
No one ever came to me.
Good.
But I loved the beach. So it would have to be Florida. Because we have one of the best beaches here.
We do.
Sarasota, we have Destin, we have...
The Keys. Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have one of the best beaches. So I would pick Florida.
Okay, so you're happy where you're at.
Yeah.
But you, Brie?
Well, I'm Brianna, and I'm honestly stuck between Allie's answer and Demi's answer because I do love Florida, but talking about California, I miss it. I think I'd have to stick with Florida, though. I have family here, so I guess, yeah, Florida.
I love
I'm
that
here.
Brie. Yeah, but if you go to California, then she's
coming.
coming.
I'll go. If you're going, then all right, well, I'll go with you.
So, not to be a stickler, but the question is, where would I move to? I'm already in Florida. And that's where I would stay for sure. If I had to move somewhere, I think my second choice would be Texas, just because they can more easily secede from the union. And I think that if things don't go the right way here, God forbid, that's where we need to go.
But Texas, so deserty. All the sand and we have rainstorms.
Yeah.
They have sandstorms.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
freedom.
Yes, they do.
You can go visit other places, but freedom is worth putting up with. Maybe not being in the nicest climate,
I
right?
hear ya.
But not everywhere in
horses.
Texas has sandstorms. I have been in some very lonely places in Texas and some nice places.
Okay.
But
We got a Texan in our table.
we have collectively, with all the different entities, I have about 4,000 employees, and that always becomes kind of paramount to say that we're trying to, we're creating an employee-owned company. So it's very important that we have our freedoms and that there's a good, strong economy that we can continue.
Okay.
Not for myself moving forward. I always feel like I'm going to be fine, but I'm worried about the future of our business and the economy and all the employees that I have that I feel somewhat responsible for. And so for that, I want to stay in a really conservative area. Naples, Florida, where we're based out of, Collier County was just voted #1 in the country, best place to live in the country, and it's because we are very conservative. I took General Flynn's advice and got hyper involved in our local politics. Back in 2020, 2022. I'm currently state committee man there, and 2022, every America First candidate that we rallied behind, of 11 of them, we went 11 out of 11. We had 100%.
That's awesome.
We did have one person that defected on us that we got elected under with feeling that this woman was a true conservative, and she's shown otherwise. But we're going to correct that this election cycle.
Good.
That's
for you.
right. That's
Good.
right.
Yeah.
Alfie, that's
how you do
amazing.
it.
That's amazing. Well, my name is Michelle, and we had on another episode, Alfie, we had this segment where we talked about out west in Wyoming, where they took it was bring your horse and carriage to church day, like that. And they literally did that, and the pews were all like wooden. It was just and that kind of stuff. There's a little house in the prairie in me. I just know there is. So I think if I had to give up Florida, if we stuck to the question, I think I would go to Wyoming, because I miss the mountaintop. I miss being able. I don't want to necessarily be in snow, but I want to look up and see snow.
Yeah.
I changed my answer. I'm going with Wyoming.
Oh, see, we're gonna stay together. I love it. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
You just pleased my mama heart. You never.
There's
want
so
There
many
you
beautiful
go.
places in our nation, and I think I really wish that more people would travel and leave their sphere of wherever they're at and travel the rest of our country, because it's so beautiful. It's absolutely
Stunning.
But if I could just say, because what we did is we took an RV, the four of us, and we just went out west because she was doing acting at the time. Thank God that didn't work out, because Hollywood's crazy. But as you're going across the country, you see, especially as you get through New Mexico and some of those areas, some of the little, I'm just going to say it, run down, I don't know what's happening off that interstate. It makes me think about what we know now about human trafficking and about cartels coming across the border. I think that's probably been going on for a while, because I would just almost love to be a fly on the wall in some of these small communities, because you see things that you don't see here in Florida. What's going on there? Is that a town? Is that Is it an encampment? I don't know. But anyway, so that's okay. That's good. A lot of us are happy in here in Florida. Guys, we have Alfie Oakes here. He is, I'll let him introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about you and what you have started here in Florida that we love. We're so blessed to have you in the state of Florida. I wish we had you in Sarasota County. But tell us a little bit about yourself,
I'm
Alfie.
going to multiply him, put him in Hillsborough.
Yeah, every town, wants a seat at the table. And the reason that I fight so hard for our individual liberties and freedoms and for this country is because I'm a product of what this country allows, and you don't really see it throughout the world to this degree. Is I grew up in a trailer park with very limited means. And started selling tomatoes out of the back of a truck when I was 15, and it's just turned into an American dream story. I been through ups and downs like many businessmen, but we're on target to if there's still a country left here in another year from now, we're on target to hit $1 billion in sales with 3,000 to 4,000 employees. And,
Incredible.
And that only can really happen in this country.
Absolutely.
I have every year for about the last 5 or 6 years, I have this big group of about 80 people that come over from France, and they want to tour our farms, and they always ask like, how many generations are you, or how long, because over there to farm, it has to be generational, and then to grow more than a few percent a year is almost impossible over there. So they always are taking pictures of the big tractors and everything, but they're most blown away when I say that I'm a first generation farmer, and that we didn't have any land. My father actually never owned any land or anything like that. So that's what can happen in America here.
That is a true American story right there.
It makes you want to fight for that, because I want that same opportunity available for everyone, and it's not equal outcome, it's equal opportunity.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah.
So good.
Alfie, that's amazing. You're a real life American dream story, and I love that. And I hope we want to preserve that for the next generation. So we're going to talk more about farming, what's going on with our food supply. I'd love to get your take, and also the fact that you're not afraid to bring your political viewpoint front and center too. But guys, I first want to watch this video, and I want to get your take on it. So our viewers at home will watch it too. Do we have fake food, or what are they putting in our food? Let's take a look at this.
For some mysterious reason, in the past few months, there's been loads of videos popping up all over social media of people buying what looks like fake food. It all started just a couple of weeks ago in the United States, when several people started noticing that there was something off about the watermelon that they were buying on the supermarkets.
So I got this watermelon up, and I like to rinse my watermelon before I cut it, and it's like peeling. Does anybody has problems with their watermelon like this? Oh my gosh.
This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It sounds like a girl is dying.
There are dozens of videos where people buy watermelon from the supermarket, and it looks strange. Sometimes it looks like plastic, sometimes it makes these weird noises, and sometimes, or many times actually, it feels as if it's made out of rubber.
So I cut watermelon for my kids, and they're all bringing it right back, saying they don't like the texture. And I've seen enough videos of people posting rubbery watermelon. I can't believe I got one. I got a rubbery watermelon. The texture is so weird. Like, you gotta bend it so far before it will break.
But it wasn't just rubbery. There was something else about the watermelon that was bothering a lot of people.
Okay, y'all. I threw this watermelon out over a week ago. It smelled really good. Bought it for more. Cut it open, and it was like plastic. Tasting it was absolutely horrible. I didn't really know what to do with it, so I threw it outside. This is a week later. It looks like mud. What's going on?
It was pretty obvious that there was something off about the watermelon, and a lot of people were noticing it. But here's the thing. It wasn't just the watermelons.
There you go. Ma.
People were also noticing the same thing happening with avocados, blueberries, bananas, and the list goes on.
We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue. It's very tight and doughy. It looks very, very fake and Play-Doh.
In this next video, Ari Osborne explains how she bought blueberries in the supermarket. When she gave it to her kid, she noticed that one of them looked like it was made out of rubber. Check this out.
It's left in her little bowl and I put it down the drain for the garbage disposal. And I push the button, you know, it's doing its thing, but there's a clanking and it sounds like something's stuck. So I go in the drain and there's a blueberry that's not breaking apart. It's not. I pick it up and why is there a rubber blueberry in my toddler's snack?
She cut it in half and it actually looks as if it's made out of silicone or something like that. Strange, isn't it? But it gets even stranger. In this next video, a woman tests out the food in the supermarket using a magnet, and this is what happens.
Look at this shit. Put a magnet that I got from here into the great chicken. Let's try great. Look at that shit.
Oh my
So I love the dramatization there.
I know.
But part of me is like, you know, Hollywood can do a lot.
Yep.
So is it real? But our food probably isn't what we think it is. And I think that's kind of what I'm coming across.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm one of the largest watermelon growers in the state of Florida, and we ship millions and millions of pounds of watermelons out up and down the eastern seaboard every year.
Nice.
But you know, some of what you're seeing there could be just the condition and the weather of that in that particular video. But the sentiment is exactly right. Is that we are eating fake food. Most people don't have any idea what has happened, you know, with food over the last 60 or 70 years. For instance, you know, we farm about 6,000 acres, literally 100 plus different items.
Mm-hmm.
Watermelons being one of our, because of what happened with, believe it or not, what happened with Mexico and all the fentanyl coming over on the truckloads of vegetables made it really hard in a true supply and demand market to compete vegetable-wise. So we, over the last couple of years, when Trump was in, they were actually stopping a lot of the trucks with the fentanyl, and the vegetable market started to stabilize. But now so we started growing more watermelons just to stay afloat in the farm, but. All of the seed that I buy, and we have millions of dollars worth of seed that we kind of bank, just for the worst case scenario. Millions of dollars worth of seed seems like a lot, maybe $2 or $3 million worth of seed. But that is if we're growing 6,000 acres to take care of a good part of the eastern part of this country, then that's only about a year and a half worth of seed. Whereas if things really got real, we'd have enough seed for our local community for the next 20, 25 years. So it gives us a little bit of a good feeling from the booster. But beyond that, we can't hardly buy any of our seed in the United States anymore because the companies like Monsanto, Bayer Company have bought up most of the smaller seed companies, and they're all genetically modified seeds. And if you want to buy good seeds, we have to go to Europe to buy most of our seeds. I buy most of my seeds are out of Amsterdam and Spain and places where they still have good seed. So so that, you know, when we get into the fake food, and it's not necessarily some of that stuff that might look like it's rubbery or whatever is not because it's fake. You got to be more cautious of the stuff that seems like it's normal, that tastes fine, but it's still fake. It still doesn't contain the nutrients that it needs. So I do farm organic, and I do farm what we call conventional. Our conventional farming is much different than what the standard throughout this country is as far as conventional goes, because we use a lot of chicken manures. We use compost that's made out of pine bark, which is really a popular waste product from here in Florida when they trim the trees and things like that. So I mean, I'm talking about, you know, thousands of tons of that compost mulch
wow.
go out across our fields, and it creates kind of a microbiome in the soil that is natural,
Right.
instead of just using chemical fertilizer. So you know, if you get a crispy cucumber and versus one that we grow that's in our organic soil and never sprayed, and you get one that is grown with chemical fertilizer, just chemical NPK, and it's sprayed and everything, you don't really generally you don't see the difference in the consistency, especially on something like a cucumber. But the difference in nutrition is astounding. I mean,
Right.
Rutgers University did a study that if it's grown in these micronutrients, that it has sometimes 50x more nutrients in this organically grown cucumber. And you know, I hear people talking about, oh, I can't afford to eat organic, but they can't afford not to, because
Right.
what's happening, why people are so hungry all the time, is they're eating all this food, even things that we sometimes think are healthy, and it's devoid of the nutrients. You can trick your mouth and fill it up with food and your stomach, but you can't trick your brain.
Right.
Eventually your brain knows that it's deficient and that it's lacking that, and it's going to send the signal back to your body that you're hungry. And that's why obesity now is about 42% of the people in this country are considered obese.
Create the problem.
And it's because
Sell the solution.
the big thing I've been talking about lately has been big food and big pharma. They're all the same. They make us sick with the food,
Yep.
and then they put us on their pills, you know, supposedly
To follow their
treat the
protocol.
symptoms, right? And it's a big scam, because it's the same people, the BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street, and all
Absolutely.
those.
It's all the same.
They're running all of
And
the,
their lobbyists go to Congress to vie for protections so that they don't have to be held accountable for the damage that they're doing with our food and with, you know, us ingesting it. So I really wish that Congress would focus on actually solving some of our issues as far as having big corporations such as Monsanto and Bayer take over doing a lot of these pesticides on our foods, and focus more on empowering and incentivizing our actual farmers to control what goes on in their farms.
the only way out of this is we have to get back to small farms.
Yes.
Get to know where you know your farmer.
Yep.
And you know what they're doing. I mean, so I got involved back 14 years ago. First of all, my children have never had anything except for raw milk. That means raw milk exactly the way
From
it
a
comes out of the
cow.
udder
Right.
of the cow. And you know, they made it back in the early 70s. They made it illegal,
Right.
basically, to sell raw milk almost all across this country.
This is crazy.
I was back then. I was for probably, if you go back 25 years ago, I was bringing my milk in from a guy named Amos Miller. He's made national news. He was one of the Amish guys that was raided up there. And I was bringing our milk from him up until about 2014. They started raiding my trucks like seizing my trucks, rather, not raiding, but seizing my trucks at the agricultural checkpoints, because we were bringing in raw milk, which, believe it or not, you're not allowed to transport raw milk across state lines.
What?
You know? Yeah. No, don't worry about the fentanyl. That's no problem.
Right.
But raw milk, that's the
Or
most
the
healthy.
illegals crossing our
The
border.
most healthy thing in the world is raw milk.
We're worried about raw milk.
So what they ended up, finally, we were smuggling the raw milk in for a while,
Smuggling.
and then they finally came into the stores and dumped it all several times. Said, if you do it again, you're going to jail. So I had to end up buying my own cows here, because you can't cross state lines, but I can have so we started out with 10 cows. Now we're up to almost 200. This past year we did 160,000 gallons of raw milk.
Can I pet cows?
And the raw milk is amazing. It's all that we drink. It does not make it's such a misconception that it's 30% milk fat. It's such a misconception that it makes you fat. It's exactly the opposite.
It doesn't. You need the fat.
I have two questions for you.
Yes.
One about the milk, and then the second one is about your crops. So you said you had roughly 6,000 acres.
Yeah.
How do you prevent other local farmers that are adjacent to your property, right, from beginning to end your property? How do you prevent those local farmers that are next to you to cause chemicals to bleed into your soil?
Yeah.
That
Good
was one
question.
question I had.
It's a good one.
And then you can answer that, and then I'll ask about the milk.
Okay, so I mean, a lot of our farms, we have a lot of out of the way farms, and we do have some farms that we are somewhat adjacent to other farms. we try that, the bigger thing would be how they take care of their farms and what they're spraying on it. So what we do is, depending on what crops that we're growing, there's, for instance, one of the farms, I'll give you an example, there's a potato farm that's across from us.
Sure.
But the potatoes, they only grow during this one particular time of the year where they kind of plant early in the winter. So we choose for that piece of land to grow kind of on the opposite end of the season that they grow.
Okay, that makes sense.
And we try to actually get in there early because they don't have to, they have a huge whitefly population that's damaging, and it's actually good that they don't spray for that, because they would be using something toxic to knock those down, but they do breed a lot of the, so for things like that, but we try to I have a lot of farms up in the Punta Gorda area, and we have some that we call our, even though it's outside of Immokalee, which is kind of southwest Florida, we call it like our West Miami farm, because it's so far away. It's actually an hour drive from Naples just to get to the farm, but it's out away from everywhere else. The only thing you have to contend with out there is all the gators, because
I don't even know
wrestling gators.
We
have so many more questions, but we're going to take a quick break because, guys, I want you to hear this special message from America's General Michael Flynn. He had some fun words to say about Homefront, so we'll be right back with more of the Homefront right after this.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I've had a chance to observe the great work of our Homefront team. These women believe in America. They strongly believe in America. So what I'd ask everybody to do is to subscribe to their show and the exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and you can subscribe at thehomefront.tv. That's thehomefront.tv. I also want you to check out my documentary, where you will see how parts of our government are weaponized against the American people. This documentary has vital insights that you will need in the coming weeks and months. Get it at flynnmovie.com. That's flynnmovie.com. God bless you, and God bless America.
Sounds rolling. All 3 cameras. We're good. Aiming speed.
Is there any regrets that you have in life? I should sit here and say, yeah, I got a lot of regrets. But when I look back on my life and I understand the lives that were lost, I mean, I'm sitting here with you, and I can tell my story.
Former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
He was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
Really brilliant military career, serving 33 years.
Why was he being so elusive?
Mike Flynn told the truth and faced life in prison.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Homefront. If you want to see the interesting discussion that happens during the commercial break, you have to go to thehomefront.tv and make sure you get yourself a premium membership. You're not only supporting a free speech platform, but you're also going to get to see us even more unfiltered. So, guys, today we are here with Alfie Oakes. Obviously, we're blessed to have him in the state of Florida, doing what he does with mining making sure our food is safe to eat, but it's literally seed to table. I wanted to ask you, I know the girls have a question too, but I have to ask you because we have a Gen Z sitting here. And can you maybe tell us a little bit about our fast food craze, this microwave generation? Is that food, Alfie?
It's not food. It's not food. And you know what? You as your generation can get away with it for a while, but it's going to creep up to you. It's going to catch you, and it's going to catch you when you get to be about 40 or 50 years old, and the building blocks that your body is made of are not going to be sustainable, right? You're hurting yourself from a cellular level, right?
The pout is so real.
So how much longer can I eat McDonald's for?
You need to stop now. It's like, honestly, I think you'd be better off doing cocaine.
Seriously?
Oh my gosh.
It is really terrible. People don't understand. It's killing us. The sugars and all this processed food that we're eating in this country is killing people in a larger percentage than anything else.
Well,
I mean,
so how do you feel about having a lot of the chemicals in the processed foods that are not available in European countries versus here? What do you think the disconnect is?
I mean, what's happened here is the lobbyists, exactly like you said, have got involved, and they're allowing things that they're not only allowed to do it, but it's in the majority. It's in over 50% of the food that we eat are chemicals that are. It's a felony to have, even in places like over in Russia. Putin used to have GMO wheat in Russia, and then about 7 years ago, he realized the detriment that it was causing his country, and he made it a felony to have any GMO product there. When you go to, people that come from Europe that are used to eating the pasta and the pizza and the breads and pastries, and they come over here and eat the same diet, and they blow up. They feel so terrible. And then, but, on the contrary, Americans go over there and they indulge in all these things that they normally don't eat, and they say, wow, you know what? I ate all this pizza and pasta and everything when I was over in Europe. And they come back and they lost 5 pounds after doing that.
That's exactly what happened.
It's what happened because that's what's supposed to happen. It's just it's all physiological. It's what you put in your body.
Well,
and to make it, I was at the last Clay Clark event, speaking in Detroit. And I've been, more of my emphasis here lately has been on food, but it's really so simple to discern what you put in your body, and it is if God made it, right? If God made it the way God made it, it's good for you almost always. And if man has had some involvement in it, then it's almost always bad for you. I'm not saying that every single thing that man has made is bad, but you certainly have to be skeptical of everything that man has made. And as soon as man started believing that he could do a better job making food than God did, is when we jumped off the tracks here, right? With genetically modified. I mean, all the products that you go into the regular grocery store with the white antiseptic aisles. That's why I created Seed to Table, was to have something where everything was made from scratch, the way that our great grandparents made it, right? Without a list. You go into any store, anywhere. I mean, I don't know of any except for Seed to Table, and maybe there's a few really healthy organic stores, sprinkled throughout the state of Florida. And look at the ingredients on something as simple as bread, right? And you're gonna find, first of all, you're gonna find leavening agents in that bread that is a felony to use in most all these other countries.
Yes.
And there's CDC literature and NIH literature on it saying that you can't have certain amounts of these kinds of chemicals in your system, or it's considered toxic. Or poisonous. However, there's like 3 or 4 or 7 times the amount
here in the
items. But continue.
No, absolutely. I mean, we use at Seed to Table. We have Central Milling is an amazing mill in Utah that grows wheat where no one else grows it, and it's the DNA profile of it is like the same wheat that our great grandparents would eat. The DNA profile of this genetically modified wheat is 20 to 25 times larger than our own human DNA. It's not wheat. It looks like wheat, smells like wheat, but it doesn't digest in your body like wheat. And that's why all these people have these supposed gluten allergies or wheat allergies. It's not because of the wheat. They can eat this good wheat that is real wheat and not have any problems. It's the same thing with the lactose intolerance. They can drink the raw milk and feel great afterwards. With the raw milk, it's funny, even back 25 years ago when they first came out with a live blood analysis, I had a gentleman that came by my store, and I was really getting into the raw milk thing then. And I was one that was always bothered by drinking the store-bought milk, and that store-bought milk back then was also, it was organic, right? But it was organic, homogenized milk.
Yes.
And I would drink that milk and feel bad. Well, I did the live blood analysis after I drank the
raw,
the regular milk.
Okay.
And then I watched what was going on in my blood, and then the next day I drank the raw milk and did the same thing. And you could see your white blood cells in your blood attacking something foreign in your blood that was from that homogenized milk. And the reason is when you homogenize it, that's the reason the fat doesn't come to the top. The fat gets broken down in these small molecules, and it goes through your stomach lining into your blood, and your body starts fighting it like an allergy. And that's why everyone, but it's not,
that was going to be my question about milk and proteins.
We're charging the milk for a crime that it didn't commit. It's not the milk's fault.
It's not the milk, it's the process.
Congressman Clay Higgins called me like a month ago, and he's one of my favorite congressmen. He says, "Al, I need you to do me a favor." And I'm like, what is it? It's Sunday night around 8 o'clock. He says, "I need you to be in Baton Rouge, Louisiana tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning."
Oh, wow. Goodness.
Yeah, sure. Get right on there.
Well, I'm a pilot, and he knows I have a plane. And he said, "I thought we had this thing under control." He says, "But I know if you show up that we can get it done." And what he was trying to do is get the raw milk legalized in Louisiana.
Wow.
So I flew up there, and he gave me unlimited time in front of the Congress there, their state Congress to talk about it. And we got the raw milk passed. And it's to put it back in the hands of small growers. The only way out of this is we got to get back to the way things used to be, 50 or 100 years ago, and get small growers that are raising the product that that it's done the right way in the way that God intended.
Well, and then you are like the purest example of local action equals national impact. You're local here in Florida. You've built the seed to table. You have all of these farms. You've generated jobs, right? Because that's what the people do in our country, not government. Government does not create jobs. The people within the government, like the people, create the jobs. But you were flown out to a different state to talk about your expertise to help in a different, like, national kind of way. And I think that that's just perfect. It's the perfect example of how local action equals national impact. So I appreciate you, and thank you so much for that, because it inspires all of our viewers to do the same thing in their circle of influence.
Well, and I think a lot of our viewers are probably just like me. I'm sitting here with half of this episode with my mouth open, like, because a light bulb went off when I thought about how much we think that we struggle with weight, or women are, kind of always trying to look for this next thing to lose weight. I have been told that a lot of times my issue is more of an inflammation issue.
It is.
And so when you talked about, you might be eating and think, okay, I'm full, but your brain, you cannot trick your brain. The way it's wired and created by God is to need these nutrients, the necessities of these nutrients. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly why you can go out and, if we're on a road trip or something, we're grabbing something fast, and it's like, it's filling, but it's not filling. So you feel like you're hungry again in another hour or two. So this is like the seed of our I think our epidemic in this country of obesity, right?
It is. It is 100% the food that we put into our body, and if you eat the right foods, I see people, especially millennials, kind of starving themselves and not really being healthy. You can tell by their gut biome that they're not healthy whenever it's tested. But they look okay, right? But they're not okay inside.
Skinny fat.
And the sad thing about inflammation is internal inflammation. You don't really feel it. I mean, you start to feel it when you get older, when your knees are so, But if that inflammation was on the outside, right? If these millennials were going around with the inflammation on the outside and there was scabs all over their skin and everything, then they would do something to fix it. But they don't realize it when it's on the inside.
Yes.
And that's kind of the sad thing about the way that these chemical processed foods work, is that it's killing us from the inside, and you don't really notice it until it's too late. I watched a movie that my father put me onto, and I can't remember the name of it because he had it and he was just showing me this, and this is about 12 or 14 years ago, but it was about this nomadic group of people that lived up in the mountains, and they're kind of tribal, but all they had is good food. They had good, clean water. They're poisonous with water too, the fluoride and the chemicals that are in our tap water. You can't drink tap water if you don't really clean it up. But they had water, berries. They ate all fresh foods. And the amazing thing about these folks is they were living to an average of 110, 120 years old. But what was more amazing is that when they're 90 years old, they would fall off a horse and jump back up on it. They weren't brittle. Their skin was
frail.
Still,
wasn't frail.
And that's the way we're supposed to live. I mean, it's biblical that we're supposed to live until about 120, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And we if we can get away from all this garbage food and maybe the stress is one thing of our modern lifestyle. But if you start getting the right amounts of sleep and put the right things in your body,
that's right.
I'm certain that we can live and we can be. My goal, and I've been eating well for quite some time, is to still be. I do a lot of kite surfing and barefoot skiing and things like that, and I want to be able to do that when I'm 90 years old, and that's my goal. It's about and really people think that it's difficult. It's not. When you start eating organic, the right foods, you need so much less food. So much less. It's really unbelievable. Your brain doesn't crave the food. Yesterday I had one Dr. drink, and I had a grass finished steak, and then I had I eat an early dinner. I try to go a period of time about 16 hours without eating.
So like a fasting.
But you're not hungry. The amazing thing is once you've given your body, and another thing is, my father was a vegetarian, so he had me believing that was a good thing, and I believe every person's body is different. But we need fat.
I need the beef.
Well, you can get that fat through vegetables, but you have to work really hard to get it. You have to work super hard, and a good clean. The big thing is with beef, same thing. The Biden administration in 2001 made it where the FDA, when they inspect all the meat, the USDA inspects the meat, and they made it where, first of all, the meat, you can put pink slime in the hamburger and call it 100% pure beef. And then the other thing is that they did to really confuse the housewife, and there's hopefully a lot of housewives watching this, is that they put grass-fed beef, right? Grass-fed beef, which we used to look for because that was more healthy. Right. They said that the USDA now says that all beef is grass-fed because all cows eat grass. It's true. But now we have to come up with a new term that says grass-finished beef, right? So you have to get the grass-finished beef, and then you got to know the farm you're getting it from.
Grass-finished.
I'm writing
the farms that we get our it's because the grass-fed, they can still get all the hormones and the
food that's not
the growth hormones and antibiotics and all this GMO corn and all this garbage that makes a meat that's really not even, it's the same as the milk. It's not worth putting in your body. It does more detriment. But the clean meat, again, 30, 40 times more nutrients in it, and you eat one of those steaks that might cost double. The steaks that we sell that are that grass-fed, they cost double, but you're getting 30 times more nutrition out of it. So it's not a bad deal. I mean, it's not.
And you can literally see the difference between the meat, like when you have one that's not organic or grass finished.
Now I'm wondering if that's even a fact, because I feel, gosh, everything that you're saying I've already experienced, like going out of the country and eating in like Spain. We had an exchange student who ate with us. He had gotten so fat that his mother was upset that year 2 when he came with us, they said, give him half the portion. And I'm like, he barely was eating anything, but he had gotten so fat. Yeah. And then when we went to Spain to visit them, my husband lost like 10 pounds, and all we did was eat twice a day, but we were so full from the food that we ate. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but I have sensitivity to milk. I don't digest well. My gut is a mess. And then when I have gluten, it's like pain, it's stabbing. If I have corn, I don't eat corn anymore because of all the horrible
there's no good
things
corn in this
does.
country if you don't. I mean, it's really hard. It's becoming increasingly difficult to find good food to put in your body.
I want to stem off of what Allie was saying as far as the meat, because all I do is shop, well, at least I think I do, is shop organic. I look for the sign. The labels say organic. The label says fed, grass-fed. Right. So I'm assuming that it's natural. But what you're saying is I should look for something that says grass-finished.
Grass-finished, yeah.
I didn't find anything in
you should
in
even
Publix
try to get to know the farm where it's coming from. Find a small grower and get a half a cow, like butchered up and sent to you or whatever, and put it in the freezer, and it's better, much better than.
So what would your advice be for people like us who don't have you as our neighbor down the street or a quick car ride? Like where would you advise us to go here locally, whether it be Venice, Sarasota, or even Tampa, because you're as far as Tampa goes?
It's difficult, but it can be sourced. We have a lot of demand for the raw milk. Obviously, we've been building that herd, and we're starting to sell to a few different people around because there's enough availability. But you have to search for it. You really have to do your diligence and search for it. And as soon as you start doing it, you're going to feel the immediate difference. You're going to feel like, wow, I can't believe that I ate, 25% or 15% of the food that I was eating before, because I haven't eaten perfect all my life. I was kind of raised. I've never used sunscreen ever. I've never used underarm deodorant. I've never had a vaccine. So we were kind of raised hippie-esque or whatever.
Yes.
But
he said it.
But
no sunscreen?
But never.
No deodorant.
I would never put that on my body.
Well, it's a chemical,
what do you do?
Nothing. If you get too much sun, you put a shirt on. I mean, hello.
Right.
We put
But you see, that was never a thing until just these last 30 years, I want to say,
Right.
because
Well,
I
and
didn't
then
have
you've
that
seen
going
an increase in skin cancer.
Yes.
And exactly the time when sunscreen came out is exactly when skin cancer went skyrocketed.
Yeah.
You just
Exactly.
blew my mind just now.
They're like, correlation doesn't equal causation, which is crap. We all know it does.
It's hard to get your mind around that it's been such a scam for so long, and that you've been duped. But you know, there's a lot of money in selling sunscreen. And
Thanks, Big Pharma.
I used to think that it was just because of money, but I almost think that it's something more diabolical.
It's definitely
more nefarious.
I mean, they're trying to get rid of. I feel like, and I say they very loosely. I think it's the Vanguards and the BlackRock and the people like up way at the top that are kind of controlling all of this, that have all the money involved in these big corporations. I feel like they've been trying to get rid of the American populace for such a long time because we're the only place of liberty on the planet. Literally, the only place of liberty on the planet that values individual sovereignty and values the fact that we have a right to protect ourselves from an infringing government. And so if they're able to get rid of all of that, communism can just come in and completely rule the entire world.
And especially if they can poison us from what, you know, they knew they had to, you know, poison us from within with all the, you know, what's happening with the news media, but they're poisoning us with the food. There's no country that has as unhealthy food as the United States. We spend 7x of time on healthcare. We spend 7 times more per person than any other country, and we have the most unhealthy people. And it's because
we're the largest consumers.
It's because of the lobbyists.
I mean, think about it. A lot of our kids right now, I don't know if you eat these things, because in my house it's not allowed. So like my family comes to visit and they'll bring it for my children because they know I don't purchase these. But like things like Doritos. Things like Pringles. Pringles are not even real potato. It's not even potato.
It tastes so good.
But it's not potato.
It's not healthy.
Well, and so here's what I'm also thinking too is that, you know, we're always saying we're fighting for this country, for the next generation. Well, if the next generation is so sick and dilapidated 30 years from now,
they don't have to
what
fire
an
a
easy
shot,
invasion
Michelle.
they're not going to be able to fight for the country.
Processed stuff tastes better.
No, it doesn't. As soon as you start putting real food in your mouth, the processed stuff will feel like garbage from it. It's like a cocaine addict that wants to do more and more cocaine once they've been doing it. As soon as you start eating real food, you won't want the other garbage. Right now, your body is accustomed to that and you're used to it, and so is like 95% of the whole United States. But as soon as they get off of it, it will make you sick to even eat that garbage food that your body craves right now, because it's just the way that.
And it's not you craving it; it's the parasites.
Well, maybe I just need to eat at the table.
That's it. You need to just try to eat singular things. Eat singular things, organic that you know that God made. Different vegetables, meats. Try to get raw milk.
So how do we find your product here in our community?
It's kind of difficult, to be honest with you, because we ship to like Detweiler's uses some of our stuff, but they use stuff from a lot of different places.
Yeah, right? I don't trust Detweiler's anymore.
I mean, they have some good things and some bad things, and I think that they have. You know, a lot of it's how fresh you get it too. I mean, especially if you get the right product. You know, Rutgers did a study about like an apple. You pick an apple from the tree, and it's got all this living electric energy in it, and that's the way that God intended for us to eat an apple. Not to eat an apple that you're going to buy at Walmart that's a year old, right? It's been in controlled atmosphere. It could be a year. Yeah. And what this study showed is that electric living energy, a day later, had already lost half of it, and then 5 days later it lost another half again. So you go a year, you'd have to eat 10,000 apples to get the same electric energy out of it. And you know, our USDA says, well, this is the same calories in this apple as the one that you pick off a tree. They're the same. Wow, they're not the same. And our body is made up of we are electric. No matter what you say, that's when we break it down to the smallest particle, and that's why they can even fix things with you know, with different wave frequencies and things like that, because we are electrical frequencies.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing that's like the next wave of health is really getting into the frequency piece. But there's not a lot of money into that for Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Right? Big Pharma never wants to make you better. They never want to make you better.
No.
If I was this, you know,
it's a great business model.
If I was the
our product doesn't work because everyone else doesn't use it.
Exactly. No, I mean, if I'm the CEO of Pfizer and I find something that actually works that cures somebody, I'm going to buy that and bury it. And that's exactly what they do. And you can't even blame him because he's got one fiduciary responsibility to make them money,
profit.
right? And if they can get you on something that really doesn't make you better, but makes you feel like you're a little better and string you along and maybe get you sick into the next thing that they can put you on, that's the best business model for them. And then the biggest misconception is people think that these white coats have their best interest at heart.
No, they don't.
And a lot of them are good people. I'm not saying that the doctors are bad.
They're
They just have
making
not been
money.
educated. They've been educated by the cabal, right?
Right.
And they know very little about health. So
They follow protocol.
absolutely.
Well, I want to just shoot right on through this next commercial break because it's not often you get somebody like you to sit here and be able to talk to us about, because what I love, Alfie, is that I can read articles all day long or watch videos all day long about this topic. But the way that you speak about this, because you've learned it firsthand, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to our viewers. Now we're questioning, like me telling my daughter, lather up with sunscreen 100 times.
I hate it. It kills me when I see people doing
such
that.
a bad
And I know
mother.
that they think
Even
they're doing the
infants
right
get
thing.
it done.
But
They
if
have,
you're out at the beach and you're swimming and then you get start burning, what do you do?
Sometimes
shape.
I go out fishing. I'm out there all day long. Once your skin builds a natural tolerance, again, you got to recondition yourself. You got to wear some.
Really?
You got
Go outside.
What about aloe? I've heard that.
Aloe helps afterwards, especially not that baloney they sell at Walgreens
no,
or
like
whatever,
real
but
aloe from an aloe plant. Yes.
But I mean, what you got to do is wear a hat, maybe put some zinc on your nose or the top of your ears or something like that, until your body gets accustomed to it. My body stays kind of tan all the time. I'm out in the sun at the farm. I'm out. We go fishing. I'm out there for 14 hours out in the sun, and I don't burn.
Right.
And it's only because my skin has become conditioned to it. If I'd have been lathering up with sunscreen from the time that I was young, I'm sure that I would be in the same condition as a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, because we know that our family watches us. I can envision my mom. She's screaming at the TV right now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I always told you guys to wear sunscreen. Alfie, I know we've got just about 4 or 5 minutes left. I want to ask you, because one of the things that you've done so well is for all your success, for everything that you're doing, you're not afraid to put it all out on the line by being able to just say, I'm not going to mute myself with what I think about our country, the direction it's going, and who the right person is to lead it right now. And that's something that we struggle with in society. I know you and we think about, I don't want to lose everything, by saying, no, that's what free speech is for, is to be able to say what you want to say. So how hard was it for you to make that jump and to say, I'm not going to mute myself at all?
It was super easy for me. We'd opened Seed to Table, and I'd hired 800 brand new employees for that store, and that was only months before the China virus. And I'm like, we're not playing this game. I mean, I wouldn't have played it anyway, but I'm like, I was on the hook with a $500,000 a week payroll.
Right.
And I'm like, we're not backing up. Like, you can come put me in jail. You can do whatever you think you need to do.
At
But
me, bro.
we never masked. We never social distanced. We never even closed our bars down. Even with the couple weeks when DeSantis said to close the bars and do that, I said, well, I'm not doing it. The ATF came and tried to strong arm me. Like, you got to shut down or you're going to. I'm like, take me to jail. Like, you guys have tanks coming? Bring the tanks, because we're not shutting down. So we had to be strong, and we did. They put the pressure on. They saw what we were doing. I came out against the Black Lives Matter back in June, and that was because I knew they weren't trying to unite our country. They weren't trying to unite everyone. They're trying to divide us.
Yes.
And I came out strong against that, and we lost. With the left gets they have a lot of power in these little groups, these little pockets, and there was thousands of people that called our Lee County school system down there that said they needed to throw me out of there, and they did. We're still in a lawsuit with them, but we lost $150 million worth of business all that week that I came against the BLM. But that was back in June of 2020, and now there's much more business that has come our way.
Yeah,
we stood our ground, and it seems like it hurts for a minute, but it really doesn't, because you're doing the right thing. And by and large, there's more conservatives. When we look at geographically around this country, there's 95% of this country is red, is Republicans, people that are thinking mostly with common sense, and and you can do it. They make you think that you can't do it the same way that they make us think that there's so many, that Joe Biden had more votes than Trump. It's a psyop.
Not possible.
And once you overcome that, you really find out that the real people. We've had more business, more support, more love. Business has skyrocketed. We're on a trajectory like we've never been before.
I mean, that's what happens when you step out on faith, right? And you just trust the Lord, and you trust that gut instinct that you feel to really stand on truth, because everything that you want or desire is always on the other side of uncomfortable, and which is why we always say you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because the unknown, what's beyond the unknown, is so much more worth it when you just step out and you're like, all right, Lord, you just take it. It's
and that kind of courage that you've demonstrated there, it's contagious. I can remember, this is just on my own little small realm that I'm in, but I can remember friends that I had, especially through the entertainment stuff that she had done, and I kept thinking, like, 2018, 2019, like, do I post that? Oh, I'm gonna lose that friend. Oh, I'm probably gonna be deplatformed. But as you did it more and more, people would come in your private messages. I totally agree with you. I would never have said that, but do you really think that's what they're doing? Do you really think that's what's happening? And it's like contagious what you're doing.
Yeah. We're blessed to do it, and we are. I think that more people will stand up. If, even they say, I was talking to General Flynn, he was talking about our founding fathers, and during that time, it was only 3% of the people that were really willing to stand up.
Yes.
And it had to get contagious. It had to show that it's going to work, right?
And they had less than 10% support.
Yeah. So that's the way that we have to look at it, and usually the majority is wrong, and certainly is in many things in this country. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alfie, for joining us. We're going to have you back, and we want to go on the road to see Alfie's farm live and be able to let Brianna milk a cow.
You know what would be cool is to do a field trip show, right? And then just Gary Breck is a pretty popular guy. He's got a huge farm, but we took him through all the farms and the packing house, went out to see the cows and everything. It's really a fun time.
For that,
so.
definitely.
Yes, let's go. I'm ready.
As we always like to leave our viewers with a little bit of homework, something that they can do from home to kind of help educate themselves or do the next action step. Alfie, I want to have them follow where you're at. If you have social media, is there a website that they can keep in touch with anything seed to table?
Yeah, so I mean, we have our oaksfarms.com, seedtotable.com. I even have an alfieforamerica.com.
Okay.
But I haven't been really super active with the social media. I mean, with our stores, we promote the items that we have. Raj has been helping me with advertising our food and thought stores, but more than anything, if anyone, what I want everyone to take from this broadcast is really start paying attention to putting God's food in your body.
I love that. I love that. That's perfect, and that segues, Alfie, into our next part. We always want to leave our guests by our viewers with prayer at the end. Do you want to pray over us, because you're a guest, and I know you're of faith?
I can, but I'd love it if you wanted to.
I'll pray.
Yeah,
and I'm going to cover you in prayer, because you got a lot coming that I know you're working on too.
Thank you.
How about if I pray? And guys, if you have anything you want to add, you can. Join us at home too. Father God, we just come before you today, and we're grateful to have this wonderful time here gathered around the table, talking about the things that I think you've ordained us to want to talk about. Father, these are the things that people need to hear. We have so many that are crying out to you right now, Lord, that want to be healed from disease, from mental affliction, from so many things. And Father, thank you for people like Alfie who will lead the way in talking about the root of some of our unhealthiness in this country, Father. Maybe it's not so much, Father, that we're looking to you for a cure, but we're looking to be educated by people like Alfie on how to get back into the food that you've created for us to nourish ourselves on. Father, I pray that this has made sense to me today, that there'll be light bulbs going off as people watch this and realize, Father God, that the source is right down to the seed, and what type of seed that is, that's even biblical, Lord. Thank you for people like Alfie who step out bravely to do the right thing, to lead not only locally, but not afraid to lead nationally. I thank you, Lord. I pray that you embolden him, that your hedge of protection goes around him and his family. I thank you for all those that sit here at the table today, Lord, and everything that you've called us to do. Father, let us go forward with you leading the way, without a spirit of fear, and in boldness and in love. We just give you thanks and praise today, Father, for it's in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you next time. Take care.